I'm Ali Numan Gilani, and I'm Chief Technology and Information Officer at NIAIS, National Initiative for Artificial Intelligence and Information Security, your summit on emerging technologies and Industry 4.0. So topic for discussion is how emerging technologies will shape the future. With that, we have esteemed guest, Mr. Faizaan Ghauri is CEO at WRLD. He is thought leader in immersive technologies, introducing Pakistan to virtual and augmented reality with the creation of hackathons known as 𝗘𝗺𝗏𝗧𝗧𝗧. At WRLD, he has led the developer community and worked with the most storied brands in the world to help merge our physical and digital worlds. Faizan's career has focused on the intersection of enterprise and gaming, helping found multiple startups in both segments. He's passionate evangelist in the tech community and sits on the steering committee of Nspire, an incubator focused on promoting disruptive Pakistani startup abroad. He holds an MBA from UCLA Anderson and a BA from Wesleyan University. So I welcome you, Faizan, on this talk. So how are you?
Pleasure to meet you, Ali. Thank you so much. So as you know, this came together a bit last minute. We were informed about the opportunity yesterday, and I was just so excited to see that an organization as such exists in Pakistan, because I've really been thinking a lot about this, and as we get into the presentation, I'll share. So, we were extremely motivated when we heard that an organization like this exists, and we're really excited to share some of our thoughts today, and hopefully educate, inspire, and really look forward to what's possible. So if good with you, I'll start with
yes,
going
the
through a
arena is
presentation.
all yours, please.
Thank you. Okay. So please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ali, for that great introduction. So I won't spend too much time on this, as you covered a lot of topics. But I am the co-founder and CEO of World3D. I've been in that position since 2017. We are a 50+ funded startup. We're quite interesting, and the reason we're called World is because we are truly a global company. We have a large development contingent and marketing and some of our sales contingent based in Pakistan. I'm Pakistani native. My family founded NetSol Technologies, so enterprise software is in my blood. Our team also spans the globe, so beyond Pakistan, also in the UK and US. We work with some of the greatest technologists that I've ever met. So it's very exciting. Ali mentioned a number of other things about my background. As we talk about what WRLD does, you'll see it's actually the merger of gaming and enterprise. We feel a lot of our team's background is essentially understanding. A lot of us come from a mobile gaming or 3D gaming standpoint, and what we've tried to do is try to understand how you can apply some of the lessons from 3D gaming and apply them into enterprise. So it's great to be with everyone today. I wanted to just share one slide about my biases, because I think it's really important. There's a few sentences that are not allowed in my company to be said. And these are, number one, "Ye Pakistan hai," and number two, "Ye Pakistan mein nahi ho sakti hai." This is something that we don't allow for in our organization. And the reason is it limits what is possible in this country. It limits how we think about what we can do in this country. So we have taken out these phrases out of our lexicon, and we feel it's very important, because even the technologies we're talking about today, if this type of mindset existed, none of those technologies would exist today. We know with artificial intelligence, machine learning was a fringe academic subject decades ago. And if this type of mindset existed, we wouldn't be at where we are today. There wouldn't be an organization as such that exists today. So when we look at technologies, when we look at what's possible here, we are incredible optimists about what can be achieved in Pakistan. And we've been able to deliver that. You know, most of the software and technology that I will show you today is built in Pakistan, made, conceived, and distributed by Pakistanis. So really, as you go through the presentation, maybe some of the stuff that we talk about seems a bit forward thinking, but we don't want to hear that ye Pakistan mein nahi ho sakti hai, because we know, we've proven that it can happen. So let's talk about what's emerging. You know, firstly, I wanted to really cover what we look at when we design our product roadmaps. These are really the 5 sort of pillars of our strategy, 5 of the emerging technologies that we see really developing across the world. And I would argue there's a 6th here that we'll mention as well, and one that you've covered. But really, the 5 trends that we focus on is digital twins. And I will go through and define all of these as we go through it. Immersive experiences, location intelligence, intelligent things, and of course, artificial intelligence. These are all really important topics and really important areas. And the technologies that we've actually built here in Pakistan, they speak to all of these major pillars. Now, the other pillar that I would mention that's not covered here, and it's mostly because we don't feel that we know much about the space yet, but we know it's very important, is blockchain. So we would certainly, if I added a 6 here, it would be blockchain, but there are people, I'm sure, such as yourself, Professor Ali, that know a lot more and have probably more insight that you could share with us. So let's go through each of these subjects, and then we'll talk about how these all come together. So firstly, digital twins. You might have heard this term before. If not, I will give a definition of it. A digital twin is a 3D replica of a physical asset. So effectively, these digital twins, they came out of NASA. So NASA wanted to understand what was happening to the space shuttle system in real time. So what they did was they actually built a 3D replica of the space shuttle system, and they connected in all the sensors in there so their analysts could see what was happening in real time. Now, why is this valuable? This allows us to take complex data and understand it much simpler. And the reason is as human beings, we all live in a 3D world. We understand spatial relationships. We have a lot of brain tissue associated with spatial relationships. So effectively, digital twins give us the ability to understand complex data, because when you look at the world, it's a complex, there's a complex set of data there, but you can understand it as a human being because you understand 3D. So what do digital twins allow you to do? They allow you to represent physical assets digitally. They allow you to connect sensors, visualize and interact with those sensors. And then if you've connected in that data, the exciting piece is you can run what if scenarios and you can run simulations. And you will see that that will be really important as we go on. So these digital twins are very much event driven. So a lot of the world is moving towards sensing what's going on in the environment and then adjusting towards it. So instead of today where you open up an application, in the future, you're going to, an application is going to sense the context or contextually what's going on and be able to open up relevant information to you. So this is actually what we think is one of the centerpieces of this whole emerging technology trend that's going to be going on. And, it's growing, from a $15.7 billion industry to a much bigger industry over time, really driven by some of these other areas such as AI and IoT. So each of these sectors that we will talk about today, these sort of core pillars, they're all very much high growth sectors. So a lot of the focus that we think and a lot of the skills that we see that would be beneficial to train in Pakistan are around these areas.
Huge potential for revenue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Artificial intelligence, I'm talking to the choir here, so I won't spend too much time. AI, you can describe in many ways, but I like systems that learn, adapt, and act autonomously. So really, what is AI going to help us do? It's going to help us enhance decision-making. It's going to reinvent business models, and it's going to reinvent ecosystems as well. So really, we're just getting started. We're just in the first innings of AI. We're already seeing some pretty amazing advancements in specialized AI, but certainly over time, I'm sure in generalized artificial intelligence, you'll see a lot of change as well. So once again, massive industry, 36 billion going to 60 billion. So incredible growth expected here, and an incredible opportunity for Pakistan to take a leadership role. I will take a quick aside here because this is something I've been thinking about, and this is what really resonated with me about your organization is if you look at data is really going to be the most precious asset any country is going to have in this sort of future world order. You can think about it as the whole world has been given this incredible natural resource, which is our data. And really, Pakistan has some major decisions that it needs to make. If you see what's developing abroad, it seems that there's two major internets that are developing that are effectively going to have control over artificial intelligence algorithms and the data. There is the internet that's developing in Silicon Valley, led by the FANG type companies there, Facebook, Apple, Google, etc. And then there's the internet that's developing in China as well, led by teams like Tencent and other companies there. So these two massive internets are developing. This whole repertoire of AI algorithms are developing, and effectively, right now, it seems that as Pakistan, we have to make a decision. We have to decide between whether we want to adopt the US internet or the Chinese internet. And I look at this and I wonder if there's a third path for our country. If this is our most precious resource, is this really a resource that we want to have other countries control? Is this a resource that we as a nation should actually be responsible and control if it is our most precious asset? So I think the decisions, even joining this organization is very important because the decisions we make today, it's going to impact us. It's going to impact my generation, our generation. It's going to impact our children's generation. So we need to make very smart, forward-thinking decisions today and think about where we want to be in 20, 30 years' time, because the decisions we make today is going to impact us then.
Absolutely. And these emerging technologies are no more fringes. They are mainstream technologies, and the whole economy is dependent on them.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's another major competitive advantage. You see how both the U.S. and China are building incredible infrastructure in AI and academia and research and commercialization. And so, we will, inshallah, see that happen in Pakistan as well. Immersive interaction. So we mentioned virtual and augmented reality. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart. What got me excited about in 2016, 2017, these were the first time, I think, virtual reality had been introduced in Pakistan. So we had brought the first HTC Vive, which was one of the first high-end virtual reality sets. And what was so exciting about it, Bilal, who was also there, was that you actually had Pakistanis try VR for the first time. And you could just see a sense of wonder in them. They were transported to somewhere else. I'd never seen a reaction like that. So if we look at AR and VR, these are going to be the predominant form factors. Today we use one of these, but really over the next 2 years, you're going to see Apple launch augmented reality glasses. And we expect that over the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to become really good. And over the next decade, affect glasses that will augment the entire world. So, instead of us being on Zoom, I'm going to have an augmentation of you, and we're going to be, talking and doing augmented reality Zoom sessions in the future. So this is another massive industry.
And they are also launching AR kits, I think, Apple.
Yes, yeah. So AR kit and AR Core, these are two development frameworks that are available today. And we are certainly very excited. We've been playing around with both of those technologies for a few years now. And hopefully we'll be able to show some demos around that. But so they've done a good job of first sort of setting the stage and really providing providing the development framework out there. Now you're going to see the hardware really catch up to it. So get ready, get excited. We all just got used to and obsessed with our smartphones, but we'll all be wearing glasses soon enough. I've gotten LASIK surgery, so I stopped wearing glasses, but I'll be wearing Apple glasses again when they come out.
So new obsession is coming.
So yes, absolutely, absolutely. So location intelligence. So this is the merger of data analytics, big data, and location. What we're finding is many business outcomes, much data enrichment, it actually needs to be spatially located. So understanding what's happening both spatially, both in the environment, but also understanding in the context of big data is going to be very important. Most of our data that we look at today actually has a spatial vector to it. So it is quite important that we do look at location intelligence as well. And this is once again, another high growth industry. This location market was initially driven by Apple and Google and their mapping software. What we're seeing a lot of now is a big next frontier. There's two big frontiers for location intelligence. There is autonomous vehicles and road networks, and there's the indoor world. Most of the indoor world today is undermapped. Probably 80+% of the world is undermapped when it comes to the indoors, even though we spend 90% of our time indoors. So these are going to be the next great frontiers. And then finally, intelligent things. So intelligent things is the Internet of Things, which we know is a massive industry, which is a key focus for us at World of Next. Already a big industry, already up to $500 billion, only growing more, especially as 5G comes out, better connectivity. It's going to inform smart cities, smart buildings, etc. And so intelligent things is the merger of the Internet of Things with artificial intelligence. So you're going to see a lot of IoT devices that are going to be driven by AI to basically simulate conditions and also sense conditions in real time. So another major sector. So all of this basically coming together is what we focus on at World. So, Ali, did you have any?
I think zettabytes of data will be generated after 5G and Internet of Things. And for that, you need machine learning algorithms. And data, yes, as data is a new oil, so how you harness that data is very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's, we've seen how we can find a way that this time we can distribute that wealth, that natural resource that comes in into the country. Okay, so that is the context on sort of the major tech trends there. I'm going to talk a little bit about how this all comes together, because it comes together very beautifully in what we built at World and then what we've done at Next as well. So, just exactly what you were just talking about, Ali. Exactly, this is a big problem for us, is that the world is filling up with all of this IoT data, and these are coming from energy management systems, 5G systems, temperature systems, occupancy systems, infrastructure networks. There's so much data that's being generated already. Right now, Gartner estimates there's about 1 million connected devices an hour. Now, the challenge is that while all this data is building up, very little insight is happening on it. So McKinsey estimates that about 99% of this data that's generated from all these devices, they sit in dark pools where there's very little insight happening. So there's a total imbalance with all this data being generated and all the insight being captured. So this is really where World and digital twins come in. as we talked about, a digital twin is basically can take complex data sets and make it quite tangible so you can understand it. So what we've done at World is we've taken that concept not just to machinery, we're applying it to the entire world, both the indoors and the outdoors. So we have actually built a digital twin of the whole world. We just built at Lahore just a few weeks ago. So we're very excited about that as well. And effectively, once you've got that digital twin, you can capture so many different insights on top of the digital twin. So I'm going to show you what it means to basically create a digital twin. So just a second here, I'm going to see digital twins. There's really 6 components that come together. So can you see my screen, my video?
Yes, you can proceed.
Great, great. So there's 6 pieces that come together when we build a digital twin. Number 1 is we take exterior mapping data and we render that into a gaming engine, and that builds out the outside world. Number 2 is we take interior data and that renders out the inside of buildings. The third set is textures, pins, and labels that give life to the digital twin. Fourth is a set of user interface controls that developers can use, like from their app. 5 is really putting in the real-time data like sensors and positioning. And then finally, this is a build once, deploy everywhere model. So that digital twin you built is now accessible to you on mobile, web, virtual, and augmented reality. So that's really one of the key focuses for us, is that today, everyone is very focused on mobile and web. But as these technologies we talked about develop and Apple comes out with the glasses, then you're going to see a big movement towards virtual and augmented reality, particularly.
अच्छा फैजान, हम मूवीज के अंदर ये देखते रहे हैं, तो उस वक्त टेक्नोलॉजी और इंटरनेट इतना आई थिंक अच्छी नहीं थी. सो अब ये आई थिंक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी स्ट्रांग हो गया और ये सारा कुछ हो गया. सो नाउ वी आर डूइंग ऑल दिस काइंड ऑफ स्टफ, 3D मैपिंग, एंड आई बिलीव दैट यू हैव द किट्स, कस्टमाइज्ड kits to develop all these things.
Gigi. So yeah, absolutely. We offer a number of SDKs. So that's the thing. You're right. I mean, first, you know, this was in the movies, and we all thought Minority Report is a great example of it. Yes. Now, technologies like ourselves, we've really made that easily accessible and distributed. So, you know, if you are a Unity developer, which we have a lot of in Pakistan, it's a very easy development framework. You will be able to, with a few clicks of a button, be able to have a product ready in VR and AR that you can build on top of. So yes, these technologies have become incredibly easier to actually build. You know, a lot of some of the most exciting developments that we've had on the world side are developers sitting by themselves in their bedroom as a hobby, building out these cool virtual and augmented reality experiences.
So how long it will take to make a matrix grade simulation? I think it will take some time.
Yeah. Gee, I think, yeah, I would say that definitely for that level of simulation, we still have a ways to go. You know, we are doing some interesting things at the world side, very focused on very specific business objectives like predictive maintenance, flood detection, social distancing, and you know, desk allocation. But for a matrix-like simulation, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon yet.
Right, Faizaan, I have one joke that will it be able to simulate the khaddas in roads in Lahore?
Bilkul. Well, that is going to be the big task. You know, this is when when I talk about autonomous vehicles in Pakistan. This is an example of where I hear a lot of ye Pakistan mein nahi ho sakti hai. You know, there's no way that a Lahori driver, autonomous vehicle, is going to be able to understand how to drive against Lahori drivers here. But I expect this to also change. I think we'll be pretty impressed by how quickly these algorithms can improve. That's effectively the technology we built at World. Now, to your point on simulations, let me show you how this all comes together. I've got another video for you here.
Hey, welcome to World. Today we're in London, a truly global city, one that encompasses world's values. We're reimagining the physical world as a digital twin, a neural network of intelligent assets where we can connect, simulate, and control any environment. This is so important if we're going to build smart cities and make use of IoT data. This will bring to life sensors that help us fight climate change, govern intelligent transportation systems, and ensure the well-being and safety of our workforce and citizenry. We give developers the tools today to make this possible. If you're interested, sign up for free at WRLD.
Effectively, you are going to have smart cities, you're going to have smart buildings, and the whole world will eventually become a simulation, as you know, we're joking about. It's obviously, there's a lot of steps to get there to the matrix, but really that's the vision of what we've done at WRLD.
Actually, some physicists say that this world is actually a simulation.
Yeah, it's sometimes some things like deja vu, you know, like the Matrix talks about, when deja vu happened, I started asking myself that question as well.
Right.
So, okay, so then going forward, so let me just get my screen back here. Okay, so that was a lot of context on a number of different things, but I want to get into this the topic at hand, which is the future of work and what's next. So WRLD is a technology platform. Next is a solution that's built on the WRLD platform, which really came out of this massive pandemic that has totally changed the future of work for us. And so a lot of the trends we've been talking about for years at WRLD, we've seen them accelerated by this. And it's really even the playing field. So once again, as I mentioned, this is technology that was built in Pakistan here. So I'm going to show you a little bit about it. I'll share a little video on it. I'll show you a demo of it as well. But really, what we came to see is that after the pandemic had first hit, there's a massive change in how people think about work from home and their employee base. So, you know, a poll of Fortune 500 CEOs, they found that really a pretty significant portion don't see us going back to how things were for forever. And a lot of people don't see it for at least a few years out. So I think this was taken in May 2020. I bet if you did the poll now, you would find an even bigger contingent that think that work from home and remote and staggered workplaces is going to be the norm. So what does that mean? Business leaders are looking at this, and they are really companies' digital transformation, as we like to call it, digital twinsformation of technologies. So you're seeing a lot of investment going into this area of now, how do we take this new world order that we have, which even when the vaccine comes out, when it's distributed, we probably structurally are going to change because there's a massive cost savings for us. And it's, as employers, it's really important that we keep employees safe and productively employed at the same time. So now every employer has to look at what are the key things they can do to make sure that their employees are safe and also productive. And that's really where Next came in. So Next is a smart digital twin for our workplace. It was built in collaboration with NetSol. NetSol, we work with a number of different, we wanted to bring it to Pakistan now and bring it for organizations here. So I'll show you a quick intro video on Next and do a demo.
We've woken up to a new world where transformation is happening in every facet of our lives. Now, it's time to define what's next. Welcome to the Next Workplace. Next is a digital twin of your office built to prioritize safety, efficiency, and community. That keeps our work moving, whether we're in the office or at home. That gives us new perspectives on how to manage our changing needs. That makes our comfort more seamless and our environment more flexible in all realities, physical and virtual. This is the next workplace. Next, powered by WRLD.
So this is, back to the topic. This is how we see the future of work. The future of work is going to be staggered. It's going to be flexible between people working in the office, people working remotely. Productivity is going to be seamless. Maybe productivity might be even better at home. We're going to see a big focus on optimizing how to use a building. And you're going to see really the world become quite borderless now. So digital twins actually, we look at NetSolians as an example. There are three things that we focused on for the future of work there. Is number one, community. One of the major feedback points we got from our respective team was that they really miss being in the office. They miss spending time with their colleagues. There's a community that's developed there. So working from home has sort of isolated people a little bit. So that's why a digital twin, what it does is actually brings together a digital virtual community. It's like every business can have its own virtual community there. Health is another major factor, as we mentioned before, that really it's both the employers and employees' responsibility, because we both have a role to play to curb this pandemic, whether it's wearing masks, whether it's practicing social distancing and SOPs. But it's just as important for the employee as it is for the employer to make sure that both sides are taking safeguards. And then finally, productivity, of course. The big question is are we more productive? Are we less productive working from home? The data that we have seen is that we are actually more productive working from home in less amount of time. So that's a pretty transformative difference in how we're thinking about our business and our infrastructure costs. So if you'd like, Ali, I could show a quick demo of Next. If we've got some time for that, I can just do like a 5-minute demo.
Yes, go ahead. Then I have lots of questions. Actually, I'm very much intrigued, and then we will continue then.
Happy to answer them all. So please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so this is, if anyone's visited the NetSol campus before, this is NetSol's campus on Ghazi Road. It's right near the airport here. So what
Actually,
you're looking
it is right behind my home.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Well, you had to drop by and visit us, and you can actually download the application as a visitor. Even it's on the Google Play Store and the iOS Store. So as visitors,
sure.
You can have
if you will invite me, I will definitely come. I'd love to.
Great. No, we'd love to have you there. So here is the campus, and you can see every floor, every asset, every desk has been rendered out. This is where SG from the video. This was everything we were showing is real. So we were showing SG in virtual reality. All virtual reality is basically pointing the camera in first-person view. But this is the same model that we're using there, right? So you can see this application does a number of things for us. So firstly, if you're working from home, you can go and check in your attendance here. So you can see I started my day a little later today, but I'm still technically working. So I've got my attendance still on. Now, if I'm a team lead, I can basically very easily see what employees are working right now, who is off the clock, so to speak, or who's working in the office. So when I hit employees here, of course, it's a little later in the day. So most employees are not working right now, but in blue, so red is employee real time. And I can actually go into one of these cards here, and I can get all of their status, timings, information, Jira information. So that's this, everyone is familiar with you. So it asks me real-time Jira stats. So I know in real time, it's like a feed, a work feed about what's going on. There's also, as we mentioned, productivity. So we look at using our Jira information.
productivity in real time. So we're able to actually, whether you're working from home, working from the office, what your productivity is like. So red is not so productive, blue's in the middle, green are the rock stars. And, mashallah, this is looking very good. There's a lot of green on screen. So that means the team's working really hard. The office right now is actually locked down because of the lockdown that have taken place. There are very few, if any, people in the office today. So all of this productivity we're seeing is actually remotely. So there's a lot of other features there, even air quality as an example. So as we mentioned, this is all like IoT and sensor together. So we have an air quality sensor in here. And of course, this is quite relevant. You can see the indoor and outdoor air quality in the space. So I'll just show one more feature, which is health. So you can see here basically where all the hand sanitizers are. We work with other customers that even have sensors that basically tell you occupancy there's in the bathrooms. You can wait till lesser occupancy that isn't there, and then you can go and use a hand sanitizer as an example. So there's a lot of other features in here, but I thought maybe that would give a good sort of overview of how, when we put digital twins together and what the future of work means.
So different level of access, and I think they also be a intruder detection system as well.
GG, Bilko. So security cameras are all linked up in here, so you can get real-time security. So I'll show you an example. So if you're on the security teams, you can go, let's say we want to go here, and outside, if I speak as an example, we will get a real-time feed of what's going on here.
Right.
Oh, of course, there's that's a classic. The demo has some issues. Let me just see if I can pull up another camera here. Yeah, so there you go. So, this is a real-time feed that we're getting right of the building. So, very much, I think security is another major topic here. So you do have a lot of security related protocols that are also taking place.
For this brilliant and interesting presentation and showing us that what you are doing, and it's commendable actually, I must say. And so my first question is a bit tricky question. That technology is a two-edged sword, right? So we have seen some pros. So what about some cons that will we, when we inculcate AR and VR in our real lives, will we be lost in that, or will our brain will comprehend that, or at some later time, not at this moment? And what are the security vulnerabilities in these technologies like that? So please, if you can enlighten us.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, it's a double-edged sword. With any new platforms that come out, there's a bunch of pros and cons. So on one end, we can say, are we going to be lost in these worlds? In some sense, we're lost in our own worlds today when we're on our smartphones, So we're going to go from us all looking down at our screens like this to one thing that gets me some optimism is now we're going to at least be looking at each other again. We wear these smart glasses. We're still going to be in the environment. Now, what reality we decide to define in that environment is totally up to us. I mean, things are going to get very, very sci-fi very quickly, where you can have effectively a total digital fantasy world that you've overlaid the entire world with, So there's going to be all types of realities that come out of this, no question about it. But I hope, what I think is that a lot of these technologies are becoming more human and more sort of ambient in their design, rather than us sitting at a desk or, as I said, on our phone. Security, another major topic. Privacy is a major topic. And remain, and they might be getting even more exacerbated by some of these future technologies. So I think it's going to be very important that there's a bit of an exchange here between our privacy. It's a trade-off. I mean, Google Maps, by giving our location data, you get access to this incredible mapping platform that gets you from A to B, and which tells you about relevant services in your neighborhood. And that has changed for a lot of us. So I think as companies do a good job of being very clear about what kind of data is being shared, and you make a conscious decision about what data you're okay with sharing, then that's really important. The 21st century is all about knowing yourself and knowing what you want in society, right? So take that methodology in place, and then think about how you feel about privacy when it comes to these technologies.
Yeah, and I think the statement like these, the reality will be stranger than fiction. It is happen in the future as well. So please guide our audience about that. What do you understand about fully immersive? All of moment like IMAX. It also says that. So please enlighten us on this.
Definitely. So the answer is yes. Now, it's pretty amazing if anyone has used virtual reality before. We strongly urge everybody. It's one of those technologies that when you try it, no one can explain it to you. It's when you try it, you understand, wow, this is something very special. So it's incredible how much our vision can trick the brain into feeling other things as well. So if you put on a virtual reality and you do a roller coaster, and same experience you have if you're on a roller coaster where your heart is dropping, you will get that all just because your brain is such a powerful, really, your vision can trick it, right? So a lot of these technologies are playing with your senses. Now, all these other senses, whether it's touch, it's sound, well, already sound, spatial, cracking today in virtual reality, that it's pretty amazing how much sound can trick your brain to immersion. So I think about massive as an example, and you would try to render, and that would take a lot of computing power. But actually, all you have to do is show a very simple tree, but have this in that tree, and your brain understands what it's sort of fills in the rest of the gaps there. So, so we think spatial audio is going to be very important, and then touch. We will eventually be wearing these bodies. I've seen very interesting technologies where there's electrical currents that get sent to give you touch type experiences. So yeah, definitely in our lifetime, in probably the next 10 years, you're going to see all the senses.
One last question. There are a lot of applications. You have mentioned some. There's human-machine process about disease diagnostic as well. There's AI-enabled websites. There are smart cities. Navigation we've already mentioned, and then the holographic images and remote. Sky is the limit. In this short span of time, the 2 to 3 myself AR VR. I'm thinking about it. So opportunities are huge. So as you said that there is a $1 trillion industry, I think $1 billion.
It's going to be, I think, 30 to
will start off smart in world. What the
city initiatives happening in Pakistan right now. We're very excited about them. And effectively, we see our technology being foundational to these smart cities. We think about, can we make a smart city? You've seen our technology. It's like SimCity for the real world, right? So can we make a smart city that everybody in that city is informed, they're educated, they understand what's going on from a political standpoint. Really, it's about redistributing to the citizenry. A smart city is only as smart as its citizens. A lot of these technologies, and if in the right hands, they should.
right. Some final from you to motivate our
your skill sets. And some of these areas, I mean, we've been working in these areas for a few years now. Some of these areas were so most engineers, it seemed very difficult to monetize it. But I think that's about to change. And I think if you're investing in your career, if you're investing into the future, all these technologies we talked about are going to be really important, and just stick to it. And you will see a great return for yourself in really focusing on these areas. Yeah, thank you again. And I'll share my contact information, my Twitter and email. And your students and yourself, please feel free to reach out to me or my team. We're always looking for great new talent. So we'd love to maybe work with some of your students eventually.
Thank you, Faizaan, for this wonderful and enlightening session and guiding us about this modern technologies and trends. And I think Bilal Khan is with us also, and Anam Naseem, thank you for your participation as well. And I think the students will definitely be learning a lot of things from the session, and the professionals. Again, thank you very much and joining the session.